institutions with a deposit of gold collectibles. But in equal measure, Men's Gold has defended its operations, seeking that the regulator investigate and back its claim with evidence. In all these, documents cited by Citi News last month showed that the company had failed to renew its license issued by the Minerals Commission after it expired in 2016. In a strongly worded statement today, the Securities and Exchange Commission ordered the suspension of the deposit-taking business as they flouted the Securities Industry Act and were a threat to unsuspecting and uninformed investors. Meanwhile, Citi News' visit to some branches of Men's Gold showed that a number of customers had thronged their premises to withdraw their dividend. At the headquarters in Jowulu, the two banking halls of the offices were filled to capacity. Most of the customers, however, will not engage the media. At other offices, anxious customers were in front of the premises while waiting to withdraw their due dividend. For some, they had particularly visited the office complex to seek clarity on the directive from the SEC.
You know, last 3 weeks I came here to come take my dividends, which is about 12,000 Ghana cedis. I came in and I was told to fill a form, and that deposit were going to hit my account. I provided the account details. I came here last 2 weeks, it didn't go through. Last week I even came here, and then I came here today. The only thing the lady told me was that my details had not been put into the system.
Really surprised. I just see it as a sabotage. That's all. I see it as a pure sabotage. There are investments out there, 34% a month. I can tell you for a fact.
Ricky, however, says the current happenings might compel him to liquidate his account with Men's Gold.
If today my principal is maturing today, I would like to take it, because of the fear that, you know, Bank of Ghana might mess things up. If my bulk sum, if my investment is ending today, I would want to liquidate it and then go till everything rests. It will be better for me to abrogate or take that 75% rather than losing everything.
But a press statement in response to the issue by Men's Gold accused the Securities and Exchange Commission of leaking the directive asking it to suspend the deposit-taking business. The Men's Gold described this as bad faith and distasteful. Men's Gold also condemned the alleged act by the regulator while assuring customers that business is proceeding as usual.
So let's deal with this story, and a financial risk analyst, Samuel Autry, has joined us to give us a better understanding to what is going on and its impact on all of us and the financial industry. Samuel, welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Hi, thank you.
So there's a back and forth over really where Men's Gold belongs in terms of regulation. It started with the Bank of Ghana, and then it appeared it wasn't that way. It was SEC and Minerals Commission. Now, if you look at correspondence from the company to these various entities, it appears they think they don't belong there. But from where you sit, where does Men's Gold belong in terms of regulation?
Okay, there are a couple of things to deal with. And the difficulty in answering that question, I guess, is the reason why they've walked on the edges of what they've done for a couple of years. There is real difficulty in answering where they lie, but the heart of it is, if we were to put them somewhere based on the laws we have, I would say the SEC definitely has powers over them.
Okay.
The BOG in its very essence is created to deal with the whole financial market, and so all trades of money would sit with BOG in terms of how deposits are taken and what we do with those deposits. But the way Men's Gold walked around that is that they said they weren't taking deposits.
That's right.
Which is to say that they were doing collectibles. That's success now. And so you go to Men's Gold, you buy a gold collectible, and then you take it for trading, and that is a derivative, however crude it may be.
Okay.
And so that is purely a capital market transaction, which is to say that that part of the financial sector where people raise money either through shares, bonds, or any long-term investment. And so once the term investment becomes the focus of the business, then we know that what we're dealing with is a SEC business. And so initially the understanding was they are taking deposits, which puts them under BOG. But once you get past that and you answer the question that what they are doing is not deposit, where you take the conversation is once your answer is investment, then you bring it into the purview of the Security and Exchange Commission. And so, yes, I guess they haven't denied that they are an investment company, but the question is, they say they are trading with it. They have a license to buy and sell gold, but that is not a trading license. And we need to understand that trading is a derivative. So there are contracts on the base gold. And so I have gold and I contract with you that tomorrow the price may be $2,000, and so we agree on a price in the future. You can go and sell that contract, and so those derivatives on the assets is an investment instrument.
Okay.
And so that makes it a capital market for which Security and Exchange Commission has powers to regulate according to Act 929.
Okay, we'll come to what happened today, but before I go there, I just want to bring to your attention some correspondence we've seen from the legal company that's representing Men's Gold to the Securities and Exchange Commission when this back and forth started over whether they could operate or not. And if you go to paragraph 4 of that letter to the Securities and Exchange Commission signed by Kwame Kufo and Co. Limited, it asks the Security and Exchange Commission on the September 12th to tell it, quote, be that as it may, we are instructed to respectfully inform you that our client's business model, which is essentially that of the sale of gold collectibles, is not one that falls within your regulatory regime. Please be informed that our client is not issuing any tradable note, as you erroneously stated in your letter on 7th September 2018. So this company believes that SEC shouldn't be regulating it, and that perhaps leads to why today it's defined SEC's directive that stop doing that kind of business.
Vivian, I guess there is a bigger question, which is to say that, is it in their view that their business shouldn't be regulated? I've heard commentaries of them saying that they need a commodities law, and until there is a commodities trading law, they don't have a regulator. I would disagree with that humbly, because you see, the financial sector and the impact on an economy cannot be underestimated. And in any economy, you can have structures in the financial system. You can have a pure hedge financial system, which is to say that all the monies it takes from the public, it can repay on the basis of its investment. And so at any point in time, everybody is safe. Because if it took money, all the promises to repay back is safe, because they do, the business model guarantees repayment. It could be speculative, which is to say that if I take your money today and I take the public's money today, I will do a business with it. And with that business I do, the income I generate out of it is able to pay your principal plus the interest. But at any point in time where you have to disinvest, if I do not roll over your principal, I cannot pay your principal. That's speculative. Insofar as the economy works, you can have a financial system that is purely speculative, working for quite a long time. But the third one is a Ponzi, which is a Ponzi financing. Now, Ponzi financing is not sustainable, which is to say that the underlying cash flows, and so where the company gets its money over time, cannot pay all the investments, the principal, and the interest. Now the question is, I've never seen a Men's Gold's financial, so I may not be in a position to put them anywhere. But the question is, how does somebody sustain a 120% interest repayment in a year? I do not know. Perhaps their balance sheet will tell us more. I do not have it. But that having been said, beyond the lawyers are extremely important, and they will litigate. But beyond that, we don't know the size of the portfolio Men's Gold is holding. It could be billions, it could be millions, it could be even thousands. Depends on the quantum. The impact on the economy could be as significant. Yes, the government may not have to bear it, but how about the social consequences? How about the cost? Because these are funds that could have ended up with banks to create money. And so we can't give it a kiss glove. And so they cannot assert that there is no law to regulate them. irrespective of the legal framework and all the lacunas that may be, there still needed to be somebody asserting that regulatory power to prevent Ponzi's from happening if they are.
Okay, so with Men's Gold now defined this directive from a regulator as strong as Securities and Exchange Commission, what does this mean and where does it leave this whole issue?
That's an interesting question. Now, two things. The very first one is, well, everybody who sees SEC doing this now would ask, okay, so where has SEC been all these years? And so SEC seems to have given it acquiescence over the years, and so Men's Gold has done what it has done. If not BOG, perhaps we wouldn't have, perhaps. But the question of them, I saw the statement today which says that they've been investigating for a while, and so we would assume there is an investigative report on which this directive is based on. Now, it is a regulatory body backed by law. And so it's just like saying a court sentences you and you say, I won't go to jail. Yeah. It's neither here nor there. But the question is, has the SEC as an authority has asserted its powers over time in our industry? So much that in other jurisdictions, SEC is probably more powerful than all others. If the SEC comes at you, you would run and you get your acts together. And so probably this is the beginning of seeing an active SEC. And this is perhaps a case study for it to sit down and say, yes, we think that this is a capital markets issue because this is an investment. And we have a report to say that this is not sustainable. And this issue or this directive or this warning or this closure is based on A, B, C, D as a reasoning. Give the public that information. And once that is given, crack the whip if you have the locus to do that, you know, which I don't doubt they have. And so the defiance in one is the legal side, which the lawyers will deal with, and so the powers of SEC to crack the whip. But there is a bigger impact for me as a financial person. Now, if indeed we establish that the business of Men's Gold is not sustainable, which is to say that the base featured, and so is if we agree it's a Ponzi, then the question is, it's going to fall in anyway. People would say that, well, once you choose a higher risk investment, be prepared for the option of it falling. That's a nice statement, but there are real social consequences. We've seen 7 banks. We've seen 8 billion cost.
We can't afford another.
So the discussions are, and that could trigger bigger economic issues. We've hesitated in agreeing that we're in an economic crisis, though the financial sector has suffered significantly. Depends on the quantum of the portfolio Men's Gold is holding. Perhaps, who knows, if it so comes out that their portfolio is bigger than the 7 banks, will this conversation change?
But quite a secretive company, isn't it? It appears nobody knows the financials, how much portfolio, what is in there. How come this is happening? And I don't know. It's just a very difficult one here.
I agree with you. You know, and that is why I would say, where has SEC been all these years? It is, well, they will say better late than never. And so if they are seeking to regulate, we would like to see a bit more than just a letter. Yeah. Because now the issues are stickier. If the portfolio size is 1,000, then we can all go to sleep and say 2 people gave 1,000, and so no one should bother. Those were their risk. But if the public investment is significant, then the conversation must get steep, and we must look into the depth of it. And so if the nature of the portfolio is such that the consequences is not just one person, because a Ponzi will not sustain itself. But does it mean that we will cut interest back over time, make it sustainable because it doesn't have the license to trade anyway? But is there a means of restructuring the business to guarantee public funds? These are questions I'm thinking I don't have answers. But the baseline is that, at least primarily, the basis of the decision and the letter of the Security and Exchange Commission ought to be known. Then we can have a more rounded conversation backed by the facts.
Okay, I have to end it here, but the final question: what is the worst SEC can do? go there tomorrow, shut down the place, start prosecuting people for probably doing something they shouldn't have done? What's the worst it can do within the circumstances?
The worst it can do, I haven't read the law and the totality of 929 to know the powers of SEC. And so I'll leave that questions for the lawyers. But I can say for a fact, if it's a regulatory body, which is it is, the powers to license and to take licenses. So just like BOG would issue a license to a bank, and the next morning you can't because it has powers to take the license. SEC has the same powers to give you license, and banks and other trading companies need licenses to do the trading. And so if it says you don't have license and what you're doing is a capital market, it is. And just like the powers of the BOG or any other regulator, it is.
Okay.
And so it ends the discussion, unless they are not willing to take the law and the framework of the law and the powers it gives them to assert that powers.
All right. Thank you very much. Samuel Autry is a financial risk analyst for helping us understand this issue better. Let's move on. And the day 2 of the state funeral of the late UN General Secretary Kofi Annan saw the violent past of dignitaries from home and across the globe. Now, government officials, royalties, including the Asantehene Otumfuo Sechuchu, the second delegation, and that of the Ochihene Osajifo Amotia of Oripeni, were also present to pay their last respect. Now, diplomats, former colleagues, and schoolmates were not left out. Now, Citi News' Nashika Caesar was at the Accra International Conference Center and filed this report.
For the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, on this day, several dignitaries, both local and foreign, came to the Accra International Conference Center in their numbers to pay their final respect and file past the remains of the former United Nations Secretary General. Among these dignitaries included ministers of state, members of parliament, members of the Council of State, and members of the diplomatic corps. A number of these dignitaries praised the work Mr. Annan had done during his time at the United Nations and described him as a humble, peace-loving individual.
He was a natural diplomat, and you couldn't help but listen to him, his calm nature and what he was cut out to do. So I think that we've all lost somebody very dear to us.
Looking at his life and how he exhibited his own values, one can easily identify the fact that he served the world with integrity, with a sense of fairness, with a sense of balance, equity, and then above all, respect for humanity.
I knew Kofi Annan's family very well. His father was a church member. We served on the same committee. His father was a former regional minister during the Buzias regime. I know his brother Kobina and other members of the family closely. But because Kofi was always, most of the time, outside the country, it was when I became defense minister, 2001, that because of peacekeeping and other things, we became very close. I hold him in high regard, and I regard his passion as a great loss to the country, and in fact to the whole of Africa.
We are celebrating him because he's a global icon, and he's a giant. I mean, people like Mandela and Kofi Annan are global icons that we all should be proud of.
Kofi was as Ghanaian as South African, or as Mozambican, or as Zambian as you wish. Wherever he would be, he was essentially an African. And not only he gave leadership, but also he touched the hearts and the minds, particularly of young people, inspiring them, making sure that they know that a better world is possible, and it is in their hands to make it happen. So I think he is felt as one of our own in any African country where you are.
Of human disaster and improving human rights and for the peace in the world.
Also present at the foyer of the conference center were the old students of the Infantipim School, where the former Secretary General was educated for a number of years. These old students, who included some of his schoolmates at the time, sang the anthem of the school as part of their final respect to him. One of his mates and a childhood friend, Samite, shared some of his fondest memories they had together.
One thing I can say about him is that he doesn't like injustice. Because at one time there was a strike in which we decided we're not going to the dining hall. One, because a student had been punished wrongly for an offense he did not commit. And then coupled with a particular type of food we didn't like. So we decided we're not going to but later on, when the headmaster and the housemasters were investigating, they saw that he was the brain behind. For which we were all sent to the headmaster's office for 4 lashes of the cane.
The Asante Hene, represented by the Oman Hene of Mampon, the Astibre Dr. Osei Bonso, led an entourage of traditional leaders to perform some rites and also send a farewell message to the illustrious Ghanaian as he departs the earth.
Busumru was loved and respected by all who interacted and engaged with him. He made friends across the social divide, including the voiceless and vulnerable, the rich and famous. The world is certainly poorer without our Busumru, a global icon who never forgot his roots.
Kofi Annan will be buried in a private ceremony on Thursday after a memorial service to be attended by President Akufo-Addo and other serving and past presidents from across the world. This is how we wrap up on day 2 of the funeral of the late Kofi Annan. Tomorrow, which is going to be day 3, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President, as well as other dignitaries, are expected to arrive at the conference center to pay their final respect to the late Kofi Annan. After that, his body would be taken to the military cemetery, where he would be finally laid to rest. Reporting for Citi News, I am Nashika Caesar.
Now, the Auditor General, Daniel Domelovu, has petitioned the President over what he calls unlawful interference in violations in his constitutional mandate. He accuses the Audit Service, and its chairman, Dr. Edward Ajiman, of engaging in the interference. In a 10-point petition to President Akufo-Addo, Mr. Domelovu cited procurement manipulations, interference of audit processes, and unlawful circulation of audit findings, among other things, as the basis for his request for a presidential intervention to stop the interference. Here are excerpts of the petition read by Duke Mensah-Opoku.
Your Excellency, I took an oath before assuming the office of the Auditor General that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana. I will uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and that I will truly and faithfully perform the functions of my office without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. The chairman and his allies are clothing themselves with powers to direct and control me unconstitutionally, and this must stop. I have therefore served them with a notice that I will not obey any unlawful instructions from the board, including existing and new decisions that are inconsistent with the Constitution as stated supra. Your Excellency, in May 2018, I had asked my lawyers to go to court to stop the chairman and his allies from interfering with my constitutional independence. But upon reflection, I thought it wise to attempt settling it administratively. This is because I have no reason or whatsoever to believe that your administration is behind these infractions. And if I should file a suit against the chairman and his allies, it may be misconstrued to mean your administration is behind these infractions. This is why I deem it necessary to bring the issues to your attention, and I hope to hear from you before deciding what my next steps, if need be.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom. My name is Vivian Kai. Look who I'm here with.
Umaru Sanda Amadu.
Still to come, we'll take you to the eastern region where the once thriving oil palm production industry has fallen on its knees. Don't go away.
Good evening, this is The Point of View. We're live on Citi TV.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guest, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
We need taxes to run the economy. How do you do it sensibly and have the least pernicious effect in terms of cascading through the economy? And I think that is the thinking that is required. It's not a denial that we need taxes, and I think that is the difference in the two administrations.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked,
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
You're welcome back to the Citi Newsroom on Citi TV. I am Umaru Sandamod, and tonight I'm here with
Vivian Kailoko.
Let's go to the Eastern region now. Women adding value to oil palm farming at Achim Adonkonia in the Eastern region are calling on the government to extend the One District, One Factory initiative to them to boost their trade.
Now, the women who are mainly into palm oil production say the lack of storage facilities and the rising high cost of palm fruits are affecting their business. Sharing their challenges with Citi News, one of the women, Doris Amwade, said that once vibrant trade is fast losing its shine.
Located few meters from the Kwaibibre municipal capital, Kade, Achim Adonkonia is a small farming community in the eastern region, mainly into oil palm cultivation. However, the production of the palm oil is mainly a preserve for women in the community. The trade, which used to be very vibrant in time past, keeps experiencing a sharp decline in the past 15 years, and these women are worried if nothing is done to salvage the situation, they will soon be out of business. Doris Amado is into oil palm production and shares a plight with Citi News.
15 years in market they say ni asesa wo muni say abeno ne bo na ye den enwo no so ne price no omusa say no say abene hunfu a omufa pa fo no omufa no omuji omusika kase ansa na wo konu a apeni ni konu a obeji ni sika ansa na ne wo kosoa abegu kwan ho ji ni sika ni wo sesa luso no wono so ji ni sika nti so otete suspense ni nyina free mu a na se wono otona ne boye din se ne be ya obenye bia hwe ne ba wo school.
The over-reliance on manual labor for the production has resulted in the high cost of the palm oil.
Wo kofa wo koto we fuo mu a e de ba wo betua driver ne ka
Utiane car, Nioba bedri, ebeji whisker. Na Wamudri ria, Nioba betutu, or beji whisker. Near all babesisa, Akogu, Ejanos, or beji whisker. Ye no wie na ne obesi se free eho e de aba afidie no so abe wo no ono so gi whisker ansa na omu wie nso a on se we na egu ono wo be yi adwe no separate no we yi sa we se ne mefe no e no so separate e no so omu gi whisker ti before se wo be wie a wo be tete expenses ni nyina no na niama ankoyi.
According to Doris, the lack of storage facilities compels them to sometimes produce oil for soap making. To help save their dying business, this was Doris's plea to the government.
Nkebesre aban se enko hu ye mobo na wo mie factory bi na se abani bebuso na ye enwo na nka aban no abeto akokipu obabi se ne ebe ya ye nso no ye benya ye sika efisa aban beto a emre bia ye hie sika ye adwuma na aban betimi ama ye bi but obi free market ba no one wo kitani sika no ba price ya wo pe no e no de be ma ye won so wanye ne saa enye yi won sa anye sika nsan fa nko wonye bi ma wo ba enko school.
They say it's not easy, but these women commit themselves to give you the quality oil that you enjoy. They are asking for additional help. Where will this help come from? They are looking up to government. Will this help come? From Achimadon Krono in the Eastern Region, Fremedu Nyame for Citi News.
Now, the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAO, is hopeful cocoa farmers will benefit immensely from steps taken by Ghana and Ivory Coast towards improving the cocoa sectors of both countries. Now, Ghana and Ivory Coast have agreed on at least 12 actions to be adopted by both countries as they collaborate to improve the cocoa sector of their respective economies. Now, some of the actions include determining the floor price to sell the commodity, as well as collecting data that links cocoa farmers to their farms. There's more in this report.
According to GAO, the agreement will go a long way in sanitizing the ailing cocoa sector. Edward Kariwe is the General Secretary of GAO. He tells Citi Business News cocoa farmers stand to gain immensely should the agreement be made a reality.
Well, it is hoped that farmers will benefit, because when we are talking about cocoa production, the target group is farmers. Farmers are central. You know, at the end of the day, they are those who will go and produce the cocoa. So if there are experiences that we'll be learning from Cote d'Ivoire about how they produce to increase yields and so on, will be passed on to the farmer. That is the essence of it. So certainly farmers will benefit. And you see, the direct benefit of the farmers is that farmers are paid based on their output, the number of tons that they are able to produce and sell to cocoa board. So if a farmer is able to increase his ton per acre, then of course there's a direct benefit to the farmer in the sense that more money will be paid to that particular farmer.
The agreement follows a meeting between the presidents of the two countries in March. After the meeting, the Ghana Cocoa Board and its equivalent body in Cote d'Ivoire met in Accra early this week, which led to the action plan to be embarked on by both countries. The action plan dwells on two broad themes: marketing and economics, as well as production and research. Under the former, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have agreed to conduct a study to determine the floor price of cocoa, which is the minimum price at which they will sell the commodity for. Again, the two countries have decided to have concurrent opening of cocoa season and announcements of producer prices. In addition, the two countries have agreed to adopt strategies to implement ISO sustainable and traceable cocoa standard. Meanwhile, under production and research, the two countries have agreed to adopt good practices that will mitigate the adverse effects of climate change on cocoa production. Moreover, Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have agreed to fight worst forms of child labor within the cocoa production chain. Also, there is an agreement to collect data that link cocoa farmers to their farms. Edward Kariwe also believes the new agreement could curb the smuggling activities across the borders.
Whichever way, if we come to have a situation where Ghana's cocoa is smuggled into Cote d'Ivoire, we lose more. Because generally speaking, we produce the premium cocoa. The quality of our cocoa is higher than that of Cote d'Ivoire. So when they even smuggle to our country, we still have to treat that smuggled cocoa as low grade. And if we are unable to check it and it filters into our high premium grade, it could have some consequences for our quality. So smuggling, in whichever way, has a tendency of affecting Ghana more than Cote d'Ivoire.
Now, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, has demolished a retaining wall that hung loose over the Sofo Line Kwadaso route after heavy rains fell yesterday. According to the acting director of National Disaster Management Organization for the Kwadaso municipality, Faustina Bedu, the wall was pushed out of its place from the force of the rushing water, which had diverted from its main source.
Witness tells me the rainwater swept along sand and rubbish piled up along the road. They blame the poor sanitation around the area as cause of the disaster. Faustina Bedu, the acting director of NADMO in the Kwadaso municipality, who was at the site with some workers who pulled down the wall, explained how the incident happened after investigations.
Last night around 7:30 that it was raining, let's say 5 hours, and they called me that there is a problem here. It is emergency, so I should come over. So I came, and the situation was worse because you can't pass. The vehicle cannot go. Even to walk is a problem. So we went back and then came in the morning, and we walk around and came to this place. Please, have you seen the place? This is a chamber that's supposed to serve the community, and it has been full with sunny. And then they used to throw what do we call it? Bola. So the water, the drain that has come in, has to pass to this place, and it brought the tent down as a result of what has been happening now. Because it was imposing hazard this morning. If you've seen the picture, you could see that it was hanging there. So we called the contractor to come and pull the tent down and clear the debris so that movements can take over here.
From Kwadaso Municipal in the Ashanti region, for Citi News, Loretta Timmer.
Let's remain in the Ashanti region to some rather bizarre news. Over 100 mobile phones were earlier today set ablaze by some members of the New Patriotic Party's Volunteer Media Communications Group.
Now, according to them, their action is to express disappointment at the manner in which they are being treated by the first vice chairman of the NPP in the region.
The communicators, drawn from various constituencies in the Ashanti region, today trooped the Abbas Park, clad in party colors, with red bands tied around their heads and wrists. The communicators say their action is in protest of what they call gross disrespect shown them by the Ashanti Regional First Vice Chair of the party, Kwabna Sinchiri. Abel Anoche, chairman of the Volunteer Media Communicators, who addressed the press, said he and his team have felt neglected by the party since it attained power.
I mean, we've been in this business for some of us, we've been in decades now, almost 20 years now. And it's unfortunate, I don't know, most of our leaders doesn't recognize or, give into respect as to what we the callers does for the party. It has happened for so many years, and I think enough is enough for us to show them our unhappiness towards, their attitude towards us. And so that is exactly what happened, and that is what we did today. And also, he said, we are not important. Who are we? We are just ordinary callers. Some of us, we don't vote. And how can a whole regional chairman, vice chairman, mix those words? At least a problem has come, an issue has arisen. At least say something that will. There's a saying in Akan that anobebre emabato. So at least if you can't do anything to solve it, you don't have to say anything that will infuriate us more. So to tell we callers that we don't mean anything to you, to the party, we are nobody, I mean, what do? We don't vote.
We have an interesting scenes from Kumasi. You're not commenting.
No, I'm listening to you, or you want me to?
No, I just thought that they should have passed the credit on instead of burning it.
Because why would you want to burn? And there were lots, unless it's been used and just, a gesture to suggest.
Oh, so they're burning used scratch cards.
Because why would you could use it or return it.
But the phone's
and the phone you could use, get some.
For returning, they won't do because chairman. Vice chairman.
You mean the chairman, yes.
Vice chairman Century, that's his name. They are saying to him that they can't work with him.
They're really
so
upset.
Collect your phone. But why do you have to bend the credits, Joe? I'm worried.
You really wanted those credits.
I think I could use a lot of that credit.
Me too. They shouldn't have bent the credit.
Vivian, you don't need credit. This is Citi
I need
Newsroom.
credit.
Vivian doesn't need credit. This is Citi Newsroom on Citi TV. We're coming to you from Adamaka in Accra. I am Umaru Sandamadu here with
Vivian Kai Loco.
When we come back, we hear from the Technical University Teachers Association. They've begun the strike they talked about.
Witness the twisted and tangled story of betrayal, greed, vengeance, and love in the award-winning Brazil Avenue. Carminia, a woman led by greed, gets rid of her husband, who is Rita's father, and sends Rita away to a filthy landfill. Rita finds love in Batata, but they are soon separated by adoption into different families, far away from each other. Many years later, all paths cross again, as Rita, now a renowned chef, seeks to pay back her stepmother for taking away her happiness as a child. It's a story of twists, turns, suspense, and thrilling action in Brazil Avenue. Brazil Avenue, coming soon only on Citi TV. Brazil Avenue.
You're welcome back. Now, the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG, has declared an indefinite sit-down strike action following government's failure to migrate them to the conditions of service enjoyed by their counterparts under the existing public universities prior to their conversion.
The association declared the indefinite sit-down strike at a press conference today. They are demanding that they receive the same conditions of service as lecturers in the public universities. According to the association, several attempts to get the situation resolved has been fruitless. The association revealed that a letter addressed to the National Council for Tertiary Education to intervene only resulted in the NTCE giving out preconditions for the migration. The conditions included the enactment of statutes, adoption of approved scheme of service, and conducting of a comprehensive staff audit. Disagreeing with the preconditions, the national chairman of TUTAG, Dr. Solomon Kilson, expressed the resolve of the association to agitate until their demands are met.
The leadership of this association, in a letter dated 26 July 2018 and copied to the relevant authorities of state, formally requested the Ministry of Education, the National Council for Tertiary Education, to expedite action along with the Fair Wages and Salary Commission to remedy the situation. After waiting for over 1 month without any official response to the letter, further communication followed till we received a copy of the ministry's response to our letter through the NCTE. The said letter presented 3 conditions to be fulfilled before the migration of staff onto the requisite conditions of service for public universities, including enactment of statutes, adoption of approved scheme of service, and conduct of a comprehensive staff audit. We completely reject those preconditions and stand by our request for migration onto the conditions of service of public universities with immediate effect.
In an interview with Citi News, some other executive members revealed how the situation has negatively affected their performance.
It is discouraging to continue to give up your best and be rewarded less than you deserve. Every human being in the world would want to have their labor rewarded accordingly. And if your labor is not rewarded accordingly, certainly you'll be disappointed. It hurts motivation. It disturbs focus.
It has affected me a lot. One, bringing down the morale and maybe possibly the happiness, or in other words, the clear conscience to deliver the best out of me.
They threatened to quit the profession if government fails to meet their demands.
Normally, when you are demotivated to doing things that you love doing, you have no option then to think about moving out. You see, you have had training and experience which come as a cost. You want to have a sound mind where you find yourself and you work very well.
As an individual, I would like to be where I can make the most impact and contribute my quota to the development of this country. It is not something I would like to contemplate as an individual objective. But sometimes as a human being, when you are pushed too hard, you may take certain decisions that you would otherwise not take when the circumstances are normal.
Reporting for Citi News, Hansen Ajeman.
Let's remain with that story now and speak to the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG. He's Ibrahim Zubairu. He's at the Accra Technical University. You're welcome to Citi Newsroom.
Thank you.
So, for people who think that your association is also just joining the bandwagon of strikes, how can you convince them that your strike is really genuine?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Tomorrow, we started this journey and tried to talk to the authorities, give them several letters. There were no response. They didn't even respect us by responding until further and further letters went. Then they responded, because we indicated in our letter we'll go on strike if they don't. Then through NCTE, a letter came giving us preconditions that they are going to do A, B, C, D before. Meanwhile, these preconditions were set before. If you look at our press statement, between October 24th and November 30th, that was the first precondition they said. They didn't do anything about it. Then they set another one between May to June 2017. Nothing was done. And then they gave us December. To the end of December, they will do nothing. So we keep on asking why.
But your press release mentions the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
Yes.
They've been listening to you.
No. Fair Wages and Salary Commission have no power with this regard.
No, it talks about National Labour Commission that has intervened in this matter.
They called us to come. The most striking thing is that we called all our chapters across the country. They said we should meet today at 3 o'clock. We all went there. No single commissioner was there to receive us.
Only the Labour Commission?
Yes. Only to tell us that they had information from the Minister of Education and the NCT that they should call off the meeting between us since Monday. And nobody had the courtesy to tell us from Monday, yesterday, even this morning, to even call our coalition not to come to Accra, and that the meeting has called off.
What was the meeting supposed to address?
They're supposed to mediate between us and the ministry about the pending strike that we have notified them that we're going to go.
So because they refused to meet you, you also called the press and announced that, okay, we're going to strike.
They don't want to meet us.
So you decided.
So we'll have to go.
So this was it. So as of yesterday night, you did not plan to have a strike today?
No. It's after when we went there, no single, a messenger was the one to meet us and tell us that there is no commissioner available and the minister is not ready to come. NCT is not ready to come.
You think the government disrespects technical teachers?
Yes, they don't respect anybody in the technical university.
Why?
Because they think that they didn't convert polytechnics into the technical university. If you have a government advisor to the ministries about universities telling us that it is the former government did not thought through properly converting polytechnics to technical university.
Is that the difference?
Yes, that's what they've been telling us. And we know it's in the news. Just recently, the former Director General of Ghana Education Service made the same statement, and it is in the news.
So your point is that the NPP administration is not interested in...
They are not interested at all. You know, what I don't understand is that they are pushing people's children to do humanities in secondary schools. A lot. Check the admissions. Majority of them are business, general art, business, general art. We are thinking about technical university. Where are they going to put them when we are talking about the development set skills for the people for their future?
How long is your strike going to be for?
It's indefinite.
Until what?
Until they call us to sit down. If they are calling us to, we will never bear the cost of coming. If they will bear, we'll come.
They should send you.
Yes, they should send everything. We'll come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
For being on Citi Newsroom. Ibrahim Zubairu is there. He's the Greater Accra Regional Branch Chair of the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana. Let's move on and remain in education, because some graduate teachers who completed their 3-day licensure examination today want the National Teaching Council, that's the NTC, to take steps to ensure that the challenges that bedevil the smooth implementation of the exercise do not repeat themselves in subsequent examinations. They cite delays in maltreatment and leakages of the examination papers as some of the major factors that the NTC should address. Citi News' Farida Shaibu reports from the University of Cape Coast Distance Education Center here in Accra.
Today's paper started after 12:30 p.m. Despite an initial communicated time of 9 a.m., there were rumors that the papers had leaked and had to be reprinted. Just like it happened on Monday, the candidates were left stranded. Most of them could not hide their frustrations, and lactating mothers were more exasperated.
On Monday, my baby didn't eat. Yesterday, we wrote, it was like 30 minutes late, but we were able to finish, and then we went back to our various homes. And then today we came here, look at, we've now closed. It's frustrating. I'm writing, my baby is on my laps. She's holding part of the paper. I'm also holding part of the paper. We are dragging. She cried.
Eventually, the candidates had the chance to write the final paper. At the end of the exam, some of them further shared their frustrations.
Later, before we heard from other friends, that they said they cancelled the paper because there was a leakage. Fine. We were waiting for a new paper to write. The new paper also got leaked 2 hours before the paper. It got leaked 2 hours before the paper. I think that teaching council is a bogus institution, must be dissolved. It's a bogus institution.
From the beginning, we were told that we are coming to write numeracy. But today, when we went inside there, what we wrote was not numeracy. That is pure mathematics. And because of that, since they informed us it to be numeracy, we didn't go inside with calculators. And even some of our colleagues were even sacked with their calculators out, because my friends and my colleagues told us that they didn't allow them to take their calculators inside, which was very bad, because we were told that it's numeracy. So if it's numeracy, that means probably questions on from basic 1 to what? Basic 3. But in this case, it is purely mathematics.
Well, the numerals on the screen show that it's time for us to end the Citi Newsroom for tonight. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu.
My name is Devin Kai Loko. Thank you so much for your time. Good night.
Spend 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day.
If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you.
Just, no matter your situation, you can rise to the top. You really